Mark my words, this is going to be the most controversial video I will ever make. I'm going to share with you today something that is extremely important to me and a huge part of my personal spiritual path, as well as my health journey, that I have not spoken about much. I'm ashamed to say I've been a little bit cowardly and haven't wanted to come out and speak about this, which you might be surprised to hear because almost everything that I talk about on this channel is controversial, from deconstruction to near-death experiences to my criticisms of eternal conscious torment to Jesus being in a scene. I don't think there's a single thing I talk about that isn't controversial. And I'm very, very used to the backlash. It really doesn't affect me at all anymore. But for some reason on this topic, I kind of alluded to it a couple of times. I did a small section of a video once on how I thought that Jesus was a vegetarian, and I interviewed a vegan, and I got so much anger, guys. Why is simply saying that I choose not to eat meat more triggering to people than outright criticizing their religious beliefs? Anyways, I'm sure you can figure out, we're going to talk about the fact that I stopped eating meat 2 years ago to the day that I plan to post this video. It was November 8th of 2023. It was the day that we had Friendsgiving that year, and I cooked the turkey. And I had been on the verge of giving up meat for quite a while, and I'd made the decision, this is the last time I'm ever doing this. That Friendsgiving meal, it is the last time that I ate meat, and I haven't looked back. And in this video, I'm going to share with you why, the 4 reasons that I decided to give up meat, the journey of getting there, and what the result has been in my life. And yes, we're going to touch on the connection with Jesus and vegetarianism. A little bit of backstory. My family was pretty poor growing up. We did not eat a lot of meat, so I didn't have a huge taste for meat as a child. I was influenced in my early adult life by the Weston Price Foundation. For anybody who's not familiar with the Weston Price Foundation, it's an organization that promotes eating copious amounts of high quality animal fat specifically, but animal protein as well. So they promote, well-sourced, grass-fed and finished meat and butter and pasture-raised eggs, and eating copious amounts. I mean, copious amounts of it. And I spent years trying to eat that way, thinking that it would heal all of my health issues, and it did the exact opposite. Over the course of my adult life, I developed more and more symptoms of metabolic issues, which I know would one day have led to chronic disease. I was constantly feeling dizzy and lightheaded all the time, struggling with severe fatigue, severe digestive issues. In fact, I was diagnosed with colitis, up and down mental health issues. I mean, there were more. Those are the main ones that I can remember at the moment, but I was constantly plagued with some kind of issue. Aching joints, skin issues, mental health issues. It was always something. It just seemed like I couldn't catch a break. In 2022, my issues got so bad that I could not stay awake on the weekend to watch a movie with my kids. I was having to cancel plans with friends to go sleep for a few hours. I could not stay awake. I also had a huge mental health spiral where I developed agoraphobia, a panic disorder, and severe anxiety out of seemingly nowhere. Now, there were multiple reasons for this. One of them was an undiagnosed neurological disorder that was affecting my sleep. And when that was treated, some of my issues cleared up to a degree, but by no means were they anywhere close to gone. I then discovered quantum health and circadian biology and started spending so much more time outside, doing cold exposure, swimming in cold rivers, taking hot and cold showers, getting morning and evening sunlight, grounding with my feet to the earth, and saw significant improvements to my energy levels and some lifts to my mental health, but still was dealing with significant digestive issues, significant mental health issues, and just overall feeling bad still. After listening to hours and hours of doctors and scientists debating the benefits of animal-based versus plant-based, this over the period of years, I finally was convinced and decided to make the leap to go plant-based. And in the beginning, I said to myself, I'm just going to cut down on meat. I'm not going to make any commitment to completely cut it out. But in the beginning, I was doing it for my health and I wanted to give it a try. Within the first month, my digestive issues were 90% better. My energy was through the roof. The lightheadedness, the dizziness were again 90% gone. And it was like I had experienced an overnight miracle. Now, I know that this issue of going meat-free for health is not a black and white issue for people. I know that there are people on all sides of this discussion. There are tons of people who have given up meat and felt awful. And I'm not going to sit here and say it's because you did it the wrong way. Like, how arrogant would I be to say something like that? That's not how I feel. I actually feel like this is a really nuanced issue. I do think that the ideal for human health is to eat a plant-predominant diet, but I also know that humanity has evolved to eat meat. So it may not be black and white, cut and dry for everybody that everybody needs to give up meat to be in the best health. But I will say that I think that that is where we need to head as a species. I think that we will and need to start evolving in that direction. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a scientist. I am not here to tell anybody that they need to give up meat for their health. That is way outside of my purview. I'm just here to share what's happened for me. The specific type of diet that I eat maybe has something to do with it. I eat extremely high fiber because, again, there's a lot of scientific evidence that humans need an incredibly high fiber diet. Hunter-gatherer societies ate up to 100 grams of fiber a day. I'm averaging about 40 to 50 grams a day right now. So as you can see, I still have a ways to go to get to that 100 grams. But what I have found is the more fiber I include in my diet, the better I feel. The more stable my energy is, the better my digestion is. The more energy I have, the less emotional swings I have. Everything is just so much more stable. So I eat extremely high fiber. I eat tons of fruit and vegetables. So it's 12 ounces of cruciferous vegetable plus edamame or tofu for breakfast. Fiber and protein is my jam in the morning, and I have no more dizziness, lightheadedness, irritability, any of those things that I used to deal with nonstop, especially in the morning. Lunch is just straight fruit, as many apples and bananas as I need to eat to get through to dinner. And then dinner can vary, but usually I have more plant-based protein and some type of carbohydrate and another large serving of vegetables. I do eat cheese, and I do occasionally, I went through a phase where I was eating fish. I do occasionally eat fish, but no meat, no dairy, aside from cheese, no eggs. I actually react to milk and eggs, so I can't eat those things. Although I probably would eat them more often if I could, but I can't. So the first reason why I seriously considered giving up meat was for my health, but simultaneously, I was also becoming aware of the absolute cruelty of the system that we raise animals in. I watched Cryspiracy. I watched a bunch of Joey Carbstrong's reveal videos where he goes undercover inside factory farms and slaughterhouses and shows the public what's happening. I watched interviews with people who had worked in slaughterhouses, and these things made me absolutely sick. Even if I hadn't needed to do it for my health, I absolutely still would have made this decision simply for ethical reasons. When I was a child, I used to go to my grandpa's farm and play with the calves and the lambs. And cows and sheep are two of the animals that we as humans consider to be food. They are absolutely as intelligent as my cats and my dog. They recognized me, they got excited to play with me, they had personalities. In fact, I bonded so strongly with my lamb that I swore at the age of 11 that I would never eat sheep. I would never eat veal. I would never eat lamb. It just made me sick to think of doing it because this lamb was like my baby. It was like my little pet. And I'm a huge animal lover. I am obsessed with cats, you guys. I'm obsessed with cats. You know that. My cats are my spirit animal. They're like my familiars. I had a black cat that passed last year, and he was my familiar. We had a soul to soul connection. And after he passed, life brought me another one. And now my little bean and I share a soul to soul connection. We can communicate spirit to spirit. She knows what I need. She's always there to comfort me. I just can't put into words what I feel for this absolute magnificent and adorable little furry creature that is such a close companion to me. And when I watch these slaughterhouse videos, all I can picture is, what if that was my cat? Because the sheep and the cows and the pigs that were breeding for slaughter are just as intelligent as my cat. They're just as sentient as my cat. I know a lot of people don't want to think like this. They don't want to think about this. They don't want to be called out on it because it's absolutely awful and it paints us as the monsters that we are for doing this. But when you look at it from that perspective, you begin to realize that the human race are responsible for the mass enslavement and slaughter of sentient, conscious species. And I got to the point where I just could not be a part of it anymore. It's like one of those things where you resist it for so long, you reason it away, you justify it because it's hard for the brain to accept that truth. We don't want to accept, like, our subconscious mind will do what it has to protect us from seeing ourselves as the bad guy. But once you see it, you can't unsee it. If you are somebody that feels like this is too much for you to think about or to process because you feel dependent on eating meat for your health, I feel you. I get it. I was there for years. Another reason why I was hesitant to talk about this, I'll just share, is because there are so many people who have come out making claims like this and then ended up going back on it because long term it didn't work out for them health-wise to continue not eating meat. I have already decided that should that ever happen to me, should I ever end up in a place where I feel like my health is not being served by eating a plant-based diet, then I will probably eat some type of fish that is on the less conscious end of the spectrum. I will probably try to heal my digestion to the point where I can eat eggs, I can eat cheese, I can still get animal products in a less cruel way possible. I have always been a non-violent person to a fault. I've never understood violence since the time I was a child. I've always felt like the reason I'm here in the world is to help people understand that we need to stop shooting at each other, we need to stop warring against each other, and we need to learn to love each other. That's the main reason I have this YouTube channel, because I can't stop talking about it. I don't kill bugs that come in my house. I trap them and let them back outside. I don't kill mice that come in my house. I don't kill spiders. I don't kill mosquitoes if I can help it. There is just no part of me that wants to cause harm to any living, conscious being. And for a long time, it was a huge hypocrisy of mine that I wouldn't kill fruit flies. I used to have armies of fire ants marching into my house, and they would even bite me. I would catch them under my clothing, biting me, and I couldn't bring myself to kill them. I would find other ways to get rid of them. But yet I'm eating cows and pigs and chickens on my plate 3 times a day. So I had to reach the point where I resolved that moral dilemma of mine. And honestly, when I made the decision to go meat-free, it was like a burden fell off of my shoulders and I could finally eat the way that I had always wanted to eat. I don't want a conscious, sentient, gentle creature like a cow that is just as gentle as the dog that is now sleeping on my couch to have to die just so that I can enjoy the taste of my food. The third reason that I cut out meat is for environmental reasons, which I'm not going to get really deep into that at the moment because there's whole debates that I'm not really well versed in to be able to talk about at this time. But I do know enough to know that environmentally speaking, we would be better served by humans at least significantly cutting down on the amount of meat that they eat. And you guys, I cannot express into words to you how much I love this planet. Earth, nature, is my first love. I have been absolutely infatuated for the 39 years I've been on this planet. I tear up driving down the road looking at the texture of the clouds in the sky or the way the sun shines through the stalks of wheat growing in a field. I sit for hours outside by a bonfire just watching the sunset, watching the stars in utter bliss, just so in love. I cannot express it to you. It is not an exaggeration to say that I dedicate my life, I would give my life in a heartbeat for the health of this planet, to see this beautiful, heavenly planet that we are living on thrive and prosper. And if my eating habits can contribute to that, it's done. Done. Not a second thought. Done. Even if it negatively impacted me, it would still be done. The fourth reason, and the one you guys are probably the most interested in, is that I gave up meat for spiritual reasons. I think that there's a reason why so many of the great spiritual masters in the Eastern traditions have been vegetarian. And there's also plenty of evidence that the original followers of Jesus, the Nazarene and Ebionite movements, as well as the disciples of Jesus and James, the brother of Jesus, were vegetarian. We have statements from our earliest, most authentic gospel, according to the Hebrews, of Jesus stating that he did not want to eat the Passover lamb and that he came to abolish sacrifices. So we have quotes like these. From Hegesippus, he's talking about James the Just, who is Jesus' blood brother. He was holy from his mother's womb. He drank no wine or strong meat, and nor did he eat meat. So what are the chances that James, Jesus' brother, was a vegetarian, but Jesus, growing up in the same household, wasn't? From Clement of Alexandria, the apostle Matthew partook of seeds and nuts, hard-shelled fruits and vegetables without flesh. From the Acts of Thomas, the apostle Thomas continually fasted and prayed and abstained from the eating of flesh. He eats only bread with salt, drinks only water, and wears the same garment in fine weather and in winter. What are the chances that Jesus' disciples didn't eat meat, but Jesus did? And then we have multiple quotes from the early church fathers directly stating that the Nazarene and Ebionite groups were vegetarian, who were directly under the leadership of James the Just and Jesus's disciples. This is a thing that makes people really mad when I start talking about it. Not only the fact that all I have to say is I stop eating meat before people are freaking out on me, even though I'm just sharing my story, not saying that anybody else needs to do it. But when I bring Jesus into it, people get really mad. So if that's you, then I just want to ask you to stop and consider for a moment why this might be so triggering to you. Why does it make you so angry to think that maybe Jesus didn't eat meat? Why? My spiritual connection has always been incredibly important to me. And so if there's a way that I can enhance it by not partaking of dead animal flesh and bringing that suffering into my body, then I'm going to take that opportunity. On that note, I'd like to share with you how things have gone for me. First of all, I already kind of spilled the beans that my health skyrocketed, improved significantly. And then when I started adding exercise in, it just gets better and better and better. I've lost 20 pounds. I could even put a clip here showing you what I used to look like when I was at the worst point in my health. I sleep phenomenally. I have energy, like my energy just never runs out. Guys, I need less sleep than I used to, and my energy never runs out. I exercise multiple times a day. I am going all day constantly, and I just never feel tired. Perfect digestion. Blood sugar and blood pressure, whatever that issue was, because I didn't go into detail on this, but I saw doctors multiple times to find out about the dizziness and the lightheadedness. And of course, the tests all came back fine. Like maybe it was low blood sugar, maybe it was low blood pressure. I don't know, but whatever it is cleared up. It's not a thing that I have to worry about anymore. Mental health is at a place that I never thought that I would ever get to when I was in my darkest moments. And that's a combination of the diet change, the exercise, and shielding my eyes from junk light. I still do have some brain fog, and I think that's because of all the screen time that I get with my job. And so I'm working significantly on exercises to improve my focus and concentration, but that's really the only complaint that I have at the moment. Spiritually speaking, I've noticed an intensified ability to connect with the life force energy. This is something I've always been connected to. I operate more on an energetic frequency. My nervous system is extremely sensitive. I'm sensitive to sound, light, touch, smells, chemicals, emotions. Everything for me is over the top. The world kind of feels like it's too bright and loud for my nervous system, and it's always felt that way. But since I got meat out of my diet, I've had a significantly increased ability to connect to the grounding energy of the earth specifically. I can sense the water in the ground. I can sense the life forms. I feel even more, if it's possible, overflowing with love for all of life. Like I said, my mental health has improved significantly. I'm often able to maintain states of joy and bliss and incredible peace that were a real struggle for me before. And finally, I'll just share a little bit of how the transition itself has been in case anybody else is interested in following suit. I always thought that it would be incredibly difficult to give up meat, and it turns out it was the exact opposite. To be honest, I haven't really missed it at all. I've really never been in a position where it's like I have a craving for meat and I really miss it and this is really hard. It hasn't been hard. It hasn't been hard at all. In fact, it's been a lot of fun. Eating plant-based is so much cheaper. It is so much simpler to prepare the meals. They are so much more tasty. Something about getting the meat out of the diet enhanced the way that I taste the flavor of vegetables. I literally can't believe I'm going to say this, but I eat like a giant bowl of 12 ounces of either Brussels sprouts or broccoli in the morning for breakfast, along with edamame and tofu. And I don't even have to season it anymore. It tastes juicy and delicious to me. So some of you watching are probably thinking that is not what you should be saying to me to convince me to do this diet, but you absolutely don't have to do that. That's what works for me. And my taste buds have changed so much that it's delicious and satisfying to me to eat that way. And I taste so much more subtle flavors, specifically in vegetables, that I couldn't taste before. But yeah, meals are so easy to throw together, so much cheaper, so much less mess. I don't have to mess with cleaning up raw meat. I feel lighter. I feel good about it. And if I do get a craving for something that I had before, like for instance, my kids used to love chicken nuggets. Now, most of the time I make them tofu nuggets and they're just as good. But if I don't have time, I can go to the store and I can get vegan plant-based chicken nuggets that taste exactly like the meat-based chicken nuggets. Pretty much anything that I would want to find that I might miss, I can find a plant-based option. I don't make a habit of eating that way every day, but the option is there if you feel like you need that. Eating out at restaurants hasn't been hard either. There are some restaurants, some maybe like the older diners, that don't have many vegetarian options, let alone vegan, but most restaurants that you go to, there's going to be something delicious that you can have that is at least vegetarian. That's really what I wanted to share today. It's the 2-year anniversary of giving up meat, and it's been an absolutely incredible journey. And I'm excited about it. I am feeling better than ever eating this way. Once again, I'm not telling anybody what they need to do with their health. I'm sharing about this because it's important to me and it's exciting to me, and it ties into the Jesus way that I've been talking about a lot on this channel. I do want to share that I am in the process of putting together something I'm really excited about, which is a way that we can all live out the Jesus way together. The 5 pillars of the Jesus way, which I'm going to make a video about going into more detail soon, are inner purification, love and compassion to all beings, nonviolence, nature communion, and conscious living. I'm taking these 5 pillars and I'm breaking them down into a really fun and implementable way that we can live the Jesus way together in my membership, The Sanctuary. I've got a few vegetarian recipes in there. I have a bunch of meditations and resources for spiritual development, for inner purification, part of the path. which I put a ton of time into developing over the last couple of years anyway. We're going to be doing bi-weekly live calls where we get together and do a group healing and meditation and a little teaching. I'm just so excited. If you would like to join, you'll find the link to join the sanctuary in the description. If you have any questions, email me at melissa@lovecoveredlife.com. But thanks for sticking around so that I could share my journey with you today. Be loved, be happy, be at peace, and thank you for watching. Thank you so much for watching. If you would like to support the channel, we have a few fun ways that you can do that. I do have a merch store linked in the description. We've put some of the phrases on t-shirts that you guys requested. I have affiliate links to my favorite blue blockers, my favorite red light panel, and a couple of other companies that I work with. You can join my membership at the Sanctuary. You can sign up for an energy healing. I also offer a 4-session energy healing package. You'll find all these links in the description. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for your support. Now go live your most extravagantly loving life.